Many of us strive to be the best versions of ourselves in the workplace. We set seemingly impossible goals. We battle to achieve them. Often in that pursuit, we forget to take the same level of care and diligence with ourselves and with the ones we love the most. LodeStar is about those moments, the ones that shape go-to-market journeys and the humans behind them. We'll dive into the wins, the mistakes, and the lessons that don't fit neatly into a playbook.
Hi everyone, Cliff Simon here, and welcome to another episode of LodeStar. I'm joined today by MJ Patton, the CMO of Logically. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
We've known each other for a while.
Quite a while.
And I think you've got this really awesome story that other folks would love to hear. So can you give us a background on where'd you come from? How did you end up where you are today?
Sure. So really my story, my career started in IT services. I've been in it for 15 years now, which is shocking every day when I think about it. But I really just fell into IT services and I loved it. I loved how the organizations were structured, the difficulty of marketing for an IT services org. But from there, I went into working for a value-added reseller. From there, I went to a distie. So I worked at different types of IT channel companies and seeing how the channel actually operates and the interdependencies of each of those functions. Now I am at Logically, which is an IT and cybersecurity services company. And that was really my step into cybersecurity. So everything that I worked on previously was all, hardware, software sales. This was a very different approach because very different buyer with security leaders compared to IT leaders. But yeah, that's kind of where I am today.
And you guys are sort of unique in your space as far as the size and the integration, right? As far as the back end. We want to talk about that a minute?
Yeah, so Logically was made up of several acquisitions over the past, 7 years. We are PE backed, and we were a roll-up of multiple IT MSPs from different regions, as well as an MSSP, which is cybersecurity focused. That is pretty common, especially now. You're seeing a lot of M&A in that space, and so there's a lot of platform, that's what they call it, a platform MSP, popping up in the industry. What's interesting about Logically and it's going to be 3 years. Can you believe that? 3 years at Logically now. And over the last 3 years, what's been incredible is just see how integrated all of our operations are. And that is pretty uncommon for an MSP.
Why is that?
I think there's a lot of complexity when it comes to the different types of regions and operations, especially because not all IT services is the same. And you have different competencies across IT, and people like to bucket all together of it's IT, and, but we have different services for cloud and data center and networking, et cetera, and that requires different skill sets. And processes have to be different. And then when we added on the cybersecurity layer, the approach that we took to market is we integrated cybersecurity across all of those competencies. And so it wasn't, hey, well, we do networking and we help you from that standpoint. It's we do that, and we also do that with cybersecurity hand in hand, and that's how we're approaching an environment in an organization. So it's quite unique because we have very integrated workflows there.
That's pretty cool. So in all of this, right, you're a CMO, you're being tasked with helping drive organic growth. What does that look like to him? What's changed in your playbook, right? Because I've seen the playbooks that you've done over the last 5 years. Well, what's changed now, and how are you executing?
I would say IT services in general is 10 years behind a lot of SaaS companies and other organizations where in go-to-market. And there's a lot of challenges there. And the approach that we've taken at Logically is really taking from best-in-class companies that are high growth and applying that internally for us. And it's been a game changer from that standpoint. And really the thing that now I'm trying to balance is this level of creating authenticity within the marketplace while also making sure that we're leveraging all of these tools to accelerate, output and performance across our teams. And especially with AI, integrating all of those systems and making sure all of that is aligned. A lot of that is, I've had this conversation with my CEO where, you have access to all of these great tools that increase output, right? But it's all AI, and you have to balance the human element in it. In the IT services space, we're very heavy in relationships. That is a key focus when we go to market. And so even though, yes, could we create an AI version of our CEO, right, that can be doing videos and we can accelerate all of that content production, the thing is, then you start chipping away at the authenticity of what we're putting out there. So we're trying to balance that of like how much production we can do while still maintaining the authenticity of the thought leaders we have internally and making sure that that comes through all of our marketing. One of the ways that we're trying to do that is we launched our own conference for our end user customers, which is very different in our space. And that is an opportunity for us to highlight our thought leadership from all of our experts, talk about what is coming up for mid-market organizations, what should they be thinking about, but also giving them actionable insights and then taking that as a platform to accelerate out into the market.
Yeah, that's an awesome play. There's a company that I was at a couple stops before this. Same thing, right? Run a conference, bring, it doesn't have to be massive, right? But you get the right people in the room, let peers talk to peers, and use that as a deal accelerant.
Yeah. It's a great way for people to build those connections and get the education. We actually, because of the content we put out there, we are part of the ISC Squared CP Submitter program.
Okay.
So that's a cybersecurity certification. Okay. And it is typically required for anyone who gets a CISSP, certification for their role. So by being part of the program, we are committing to the fact that all of our content is educational and all of it is applicable for their position and for their organization. So there is no selling involved. There is no dropping of solutions. Like everything is, here's how you're going to use this in your organization. And it's a very different approach to producing content. So it's one way that we're trying to commit to the people that we're supporting.
How do you keep that from feeling dry?
Just like you mean like versus like academic kind of like dryness of content?
Yeah, where like you're just sitting through this and it's like, oh my gosh, it's for good information, but wow, I need to get up for a minute, get out of the chair and do something different.
Yeah, well, it definitely depends on the speaker. We have had speakers where, it's very technical and it's very specific, like if we go into regulations and the things that impact and, but we try to tie in like the use cases and like actual situations and stories. Like I'm really big on stories. Like that's the thing that's going to make something real for an individual. 100%, right? Because then they can, it resonates with them and they can relate to that type of situation. And it's pulling in the story of like, how did that make like you feel in your role at that time dealing with that?
It's human.
Right.
That's how we've communicated for millennia.
Exactly. And so when you add that component to the topic that we're discussing, and then you're giving clear guidance, like this is what you need to do. And what you need to do doesn't mean it's always a technology. It doesn't mean it's always, you need to buy this software or you need to buy this hardware or you need to, sometimes it's, here are things you can implement right now. I was talking to someone and the challenge for mid-market leaders, we have large organizations, right? We're talking about $100 million to $1 billion, right? Like you have several people, like hundreds of people working at the organization, right? You're protecting that. That's a lot of pressure. But you don't have enterprise budgets, right? So every day when we walk in, and like this is the same thing for me, every day when I walk in to work, I think about, I only have so much money that I can spend, and I need to make sure I'm placing it correctly in order to protect or grow my business, right? And I'm constantly looking at it through that filter. And if you think about IT leadership, they're doing exactly the same thing. There's all of these great tools out there. There's all of these things. But at the end of the day, it's like, what can I do myself what can I purchase in order to help with these pointed, issues? And having someone who's going to tell you, like, you shouldn't spend this because this is really like if you had a huge budget, and being completely candid, just transparent about it. Because at the end of the day, it's made about that person and what's best for that person and that company versus the sale, right? And it's fully flipping this, the script on it.
That's interesting because like one of the things I've heard about your company from a friend of mine purchased from you was how well the pre-sales and sales team did in helping really understand their need versus like their perceived like need to get, right, from a solution perspective.
It's something that I find really exciting about working at Logically. It's it truly is about the customer and how do we help them no matter what. It's not driven by our own self need to, hit a number or, get that sale or whatnot. It's like, well, what's in the best interest of this individual? That's what we're going to propose. And that might mean, not working with us. It might mean going somewhere else because they're going to get the correct support somewhere else.
Hey, and that's the ton, like just knowing your ICP, knowing what's going to last, what's going to give you the best opportunity for that expansion and long-term relationship, right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I hope by giving that type of guidance, we build that layer of trust that they then come back, be like, okay, now we're ready. We need you to be our partner because we trust you to not give us, some, crazy idea where you're just trying to take money from us, right?
Yeah. Talk about being human-centric.
Right.
So to shift tact, you travel a ton.
Yeah.
I travel a ton. Well, what's that like? You're like, what advice do you have? Because it's so hard being an executive, being on the road, leading from the front.
It definitely is difficult. Like I am very blessed to have a wonderful team. I mean, we're constantly in communication and, but I fully trust them and I enable them to make decisions when I'm out of the office. So that layer has to be there, right? Otherwise, I just don't know how you, last year I didn't travel at all because I didn't have a team. This year, I'm able to actually go and do a lot more traveling because I have people that I know are executing on our mission, and we're fully aligned. But on a personal level, it's been also challenging, just managing it because you have so I have a very young son, and then I have my husband, and he also super blessed to have him because he has stepped up in order to make sure our son makes it to school and goes to all of his activities and does his homework and all of that. And but it is challenging to manage that because you're on all the time when you're traveling.
Yeah.
Right. And I had this conversation with my husband recently as well because he's like, well, isn't it the same thing for you to just go with your coworkers out to dinner and out for drinks or whatever? That's relaxing. And I'm like, no, it's not. It's not relaxing because you are on from the time you wake up all the way through that. And it's not like you're with friends. Don't get me wrong. I like my coworkers. I like the people I interact with, but it's very different.
Yep.
Your mindset is very different when you're in that kind of environment. And then you do it over and over and over again. And then you come home and then you're like, I need to help because I was absent. So then you're doing all of that. And then what ends up happening is you start to not take care of your own self because at that point you're like, well, I can't afford to spend time on myself and, go and I don't know, get a massage or something or do whatever makes you happy. Because you have to focus in on the family, you have to focus on work and everything. And then you end up getting into this feeling of just complete loneliness, right? And so unless you're extremely intentional of carving out that time of, hey, I'm going to meet up with my friends and we're just going to have a nice dinner and just chat, or I'm going to carve out time to go and read a book that I really wanted to read and that's my time, you could end up getting extremely burnt out, extremely lonely. And I think there's a lot of executives that they deal with that,
Yeah, quietly too.
quietly. Yeah, we're at Pavilion's event, and one of the things that I talk to several like the peers here is I love this community because I have found friends there, and all of them shared similar things. They're on the road. They're high functioning executives. They're like on it constantly, but there's like this sense of like just like feeling burnt out, feeling lonely. And by having this community, you have like other people that are going through it together, you know?
Yeah. At least for me, like in my personal life, I don't think any of my friends like get it, right? So having a community of people that you can be around, that you can bounce ideas off of, and how do you do, like, what's your routine, and
Yeah. I mean, to that point, how many friends are just like, well, just like work less? Like,
yeah, that is an option, right?
yeah, like, why don't you just like work less? And it's like, I think we talked about this over dinner. I love what I do.
Yeah.
I love my work. So I can't even imagine being like, well, yeah, I'm going to work. Like, no, because then that's like a part of me that's like, that I'm not eating.
I just can't imagine like doing something that you love and not doing it all the way.
Right. There is something, and depending on like belief systems and all of that stuff. But I heard this of like, you wake up every day and God gives you an opportunity to live your life to the fullest. And are you taking up that challenge to do that day?
Yeah.
Right. And I think about that every day. I wake up and I'm like, today I was given an opportunity to live my life to the fullest. How am I going to do that and show up? And to come in and not put in the 110%, that's not how I function. Right.
Yeah.
And I think like you see that with like in our peer circle, you see a lot of people who are like that. But it still means part of that 110% is you also have to put that into yourself.
And that's a hard thing to do, because for those of us who are always on, always going, like there's always that next thing that you want to grab at, or like that you see an opportunity for, or like, if that other idea that just pops into your head, you're like, yeah, I have to go do that thing. So what's your routine? How do you stay centered?
So I meditate every single day. I wake up, I start with gratitude. I start with acknowledging what my accomplishments as well. Sometimes it's hard because you end up getting, you become self-critical of like, well, this is not like, but it's like, no, like celebrating even the small things. But I start out my day with that, and then that just puts me in the right frame of mind to take on the full day. But I have a pretty structured day. Like I end up blocking out moments to focus on different things, because otherwise I can end up being essentially a slave to my calendar, right?
Oh yeah, we've all been there.
Yeah, and it's like you're not taking control of it, right? Because you're just jumping around. So I'm very intentional with how I spend my time, when I spend it. And then when I'm intentional with, for example, I work out every other day. So I have set time. It's on my family calendar. Everyone knows I go to the gym. Like this is, and then I come home and I pick up like my son, and, we have family time. And I know like that is specific intentional time to spend with my family, and nothing else can impact it.
Phone away.
Like I end up putting it away, and I've gotten better and better about it. But yeah, it's like when I started creating those zones, it also helped reduce anxiety, right? Because in my mind, I have taken something that may cause like a sense of anxiousness and saying, hey, I hear you. I'm setting time next week to address this. And that it helps reduce that because I just acknowledge it and I set it aside.
Interesting.
Yeah. It's a really great method. Like if anything comes up of, so for example, you may have this laundry list of things that you have to accomplish, right? And it's like everything has to get done. Well, does it really all of it have to get done? No. Mm-hmm. And instead, if you look at it and you write it all out, be like, okay, I know I have to get this done. It does not have to get done today. This can be done next week or next month. And I've mentally put that space for it.
Yeah.
And it helps reduce.
Love that. Rubber balls versus glass ones, right?
Exactly. Very cool. You need to know the difference.
It's hard sometimes. But work is rubber. no matter how much we want to hold on to it.
Yes.
I live the same thing, right? 5:30, 5:45 until like 8:30 at night. Like, I try really hard to not look. And my wife's been like, hey, you should put the phone away. Just put it away. And I think she's right. So very encouraging for me to hear that you do that, right? It's also really different for me now in this role versus being a caregiver, where like I felt like I always had to be on, even like when I was around family, because I was trying to support my team.
Yeah.
And now, like, being able to build it again from the ground up and putting in the right barriers and boundaries has been really nice.
Something that I came to realization of is a lot of that, like, when we try to avoid something, it actually is something internally that, like, it's a story that you're telling yourself. So, like, if you're always on and you can't put away your phone, why can't you let go of the phone? Well, you are worried, like, well, what if I miss out on something? Or what if you're not doing enough? Or what if, like, and it ends up coming in from something internal. And then if you can figure that out and, like, reframe it. So, for example, working for a PE firm, I thought I always had to be on because otherwise I'm not good enough, right? Like, I'm not executing enough. I'm not, like, and when I realized that, I'm like, but I am good enough. Like,
That's why you're here.
That's why I'm here. That's why, like, you know, the success that we've been having. And it's, you know, like, so if I am good enough, then I am worthy of having time to myself and time with my family.
Sure.
And so it, like, and here's the thing, you can't mess up anything that's meant for you. So if you set that stuff aside and maybe something happens, well, maybe it was supposed to happen, and then that ends up leading you to a different direction or anything. So it's like you're kind of accepting that journey. I don't know. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it totally makes sense.
Yeah, I like that helped me overcome that type of like pushback, like internal dialogue of like, well, you know, you have to be connected, you have to be online, you have to, like, it's like setting more healthy boundaries by addressing. I'm like, that's all in my head. Like, I made up this thing that if I do this, this thing will happen, and that's not real.
What do you mean? Yeah, no, we're slaves to our own expectations at times, right?
Yeah.
And again, having that circle of folks around who are also high performing, that want to have that level of excellence, that level of achievement.
Yeah.
Sometimes that bites you in the butt a bit, because you see, oh, this guy's doing this, this woman's doing that. They got their company for this kind of raise, and they sold for that, and
Right. But it's like they're all on different journeys, so we can't be comparing.
yeah, you're absolutely right.
Right. And I was questioned. So I have an executive coach as well. And there was a time we were chatting about something, and he questioned. He's like, when have we ever let anything fail? He's like, MJ, like, name, like, because I told him about the fear that I had. Like, well, if I don't do this, then this may, like, happen. And he's like, tell me one time where you've ever, like, had a big blow up where shit went, like, haywire. And I'm just sitting there like, I haven't. He's like, so why do you think anything's going to be different? Like, why can't you be confident in the fact that you will make the right choices based off of the information you have at that time, right? Mm-hmm. And that things will work out how they should. Like, maybe it's not, like, you know, it's not going to be perfect, but, like, nothing's going to break. And I was just like, oh, okay. Like, way to call me out on that one.
Past performance is a pretty good indicator of your performance.
Yeah. And yet, like, we have this internal thing of like, well, not this time.
Mm-hmm. That's how I feel every single time I'm getting ready to throw into that. Like, people gonna show up?
Yeah. It's like,
is everyone gonna be happy? Like, can't control all of that.
No, you can't.
Kids get sick, accidents happen, work fires happen.
Yeah. Like, I used to have anxiety about missing a day of work, you know, and well, like, what if I got sick and I would be like super sick and I'd still be online and be like working, and, you know, that's not good. That's not self-care.
But so you're talking to the guy that worked like within 2 to 3 days of every one of my kids being born. It's like,
right. But what would have happened if you were there present in that moment? Like, would something have happened? In our heads, we think yes, but in reality, probably not.
Yeah, that's fair.
Right?
That's fair.
And it's that entire shift. And I really hope more people try to like reframe that, because it ends up having just huge impact of like having a healthier lifestyle, you know? Yeah.
Yeah, well, I look forward to following all of the wonderful content you've been putting on LinkedIn around this and catching up here and there when we're in the same cities.
Yes, exactly.
Awesome. Thanks so much. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
I hope this was useful for all of you too, and we'll see you guys on the next episode of LodeStar.